Nicole van den Hurk was born on July 4th, 1980 to a single mother. At first it was understood that her father was a Dutch singer by the name of Ad van den Hurk, but her mother later admitted her biological father was a married German entrepreneur. Blood tests later revealed this revelation to be true. Nicole's mother maintained her relationship with Ad, and the three of them relocated to the Netherlands when Nicole was 3 years old. Nicole's stepfather was handed custody of Nicole after the couple split in 1989. Nicole spent a lot of time with Ad's mother, whom she regarded as a grandmother, due to the nature of his profession, which required him to travel a lot. Sadly, following a lengthy fight with mental illness, her mother committed suicide in April of 1995. Nicole was at her grandmother's in Grêlé, a suburb of Eindhoven, on the day she went missing. The date was October 6th, 1995. She was 15 years old. She had set out by bike early in the morning for work at a bakery in the Winchell shopping centre. It was her employer who contacted family to see where she was. The family, worried by her non-arrival at work, contacted police. They began a search, and at 6 p.m, her bike was found in the Dommel River near a water treatment facility called Wasvenpad. Divers entered the water in search of her remains. However, she wasn't found. Police interviewed family, friends, classmates, and some acquaintances over the next 2 days. A number of lines of inquiry were followed. They questioned some teens who had been causing problems in the area in the days and weeks before Nicole's disappearance. Some of them went to the same school as Nicole, but nothing came of this. Stagnant pools of water in woodland nearby were searched from the air, and a team of 45 people scoured this area, as well as sewerage drains nearby. Tips flooded in, and one such tip told of a car in the Wasvenpad location on the morning of the disappearance. A registration was provided, yet nothing came from this information. On October 19th, the small backpack that she was carrying was found on the verge between the DAF complex and the Canal de Zuid in Eindhoven. They honed in on this area and searched the south side of the Eindhoven Canal. They also appealed to the public for more information, using the TV programme Crime International as a medium. On the 24th of October, police say that a man called saying he knew who the killer was. He sounded credible, but he suddenly hung up the phone, and nothing was heard from him again. They released the call in January of 1996 to see if the man or someone he knew would come forward. Nothing happened. On the 26th, police tried to quash rumours that Nicole has run away, but later admit this is a possibility when they say they have clear indications that Nicole may have left of her own accord. Although she does not rule out a crime, her German grandmother, Miss Betts, says she holds to the idea that Nicole has indeed run away, and that she is somewhere of her own free will, where she is having a good time. Father Ad believes that the police are on the wrong track. The remains of 15-year-old Nicole van den Hurk are found between Lierop and Mierlo, beneath a pile of pruning waste by a hiker. The cause of death was never released. Police simply stated she came to a horrific end. Police took their inquiry underground, and no information was forthcoming until February 8, 1996. A girl from Eindhoven, who was detained in Miami for drug smuggling, announces that she knows who murdered Nicole, and for that reason she was forced to smuggle by an Eindhoven drug gang. Ad van den Hurk says that he knows that girl and believes her story. Dutch investigators travelled to Miami in March to interview the girl and release a statement saying that their time spent with her revealed no new details. By the time April comes around, Nicole's stepfather Ad openly criticises the Eindhoven police. He says that they are trying to pin the blame on him, and this is impeding the progress of the investigation. However, rather than arrest Ad, it is her stepbrother Andy van den Hurk who is arrested on May 22nd. He is questioned for 5 days, but released on the 27th, with police telling the media he is no longer a suspect in the murder. The ups and downs continue when police finally arrest Ad in June, after weeks of media speculation. But like his son, he is later released and cleared as a suspect. Nicole's brother Andy had moved to the UK in the years following the murder of his sister. On March 8, 2011, he would return to his home nation for further questioning by police. The reason for the police's newfound interest in Andy was because he used Facebook to confess openly to being involved in the murder of his sister. The post goes as follows: "I will be arrested today for the murder of my sister. Have confessed. Will be in contact soon." After posting his confession on Facebook, Andy walked to the local police station, confessed, and is brought for a hearing at Westminster Court, London. The decision was made to extradite him to the Netherlands. Just when people looking from the outside in might have thought that the mystery was about to be solved, the Dutch judge released Andy van den Hurk, citing an extraordinary lack of evidence linking him to the murder. He was released on April 5th, but he didn't disappear into the ether. Rather, he claimed his father was responsible for the death of Nicole. The motive? He had raped her, she had fell pregnant, and he killed her with the aim of concealing his misdeeds. Ad firmly rejected these accusations and turned upon his son, saying that he had committed the heinous deeds he had been accused of. The chaotic revelations, as crazy as it may seem, did bring renewed interest to the case, both in police headquarters and within the media. Cold case investigators sought permission to exhume the body of Nicole. Their aim was to gather any DNA evidence which may have been missed during the initial investigation. Her body was exhumed on September 9th and brought to the Netherlands Forensics Institute for further examination. 4 days later, on September 13th, police state that they may have come across a breakthrough. They have come across 3 separate DNA samples. They insinuate that one of the samples is likely to be that of the killer. Ad donates his DNA the next day to rule himself out as a suspect. The police use this lead further. However, by the time June of 2012 comes around, they concede that nothing of importance has come to the surface. It would be another 18 months before the DNA evidence would yield results. 46-year-old Jos de Grêlé was arrested at his home in Helmond on January 14, 2014. This was done on the basis of a match between the DNA profile of the suspect and the DNA profiles from the murder investigation. Further details were released a week later. The man had previously been convicted of rape. The suspect, Jos de Grêlé, strongly rejected the claims made against him, and his defence asked the court for a counter-assessment of the DNA used to charge his client with the rape and murder of Nicole. On July 7, 2014, the charges laid against de Grêlé are reduced to that of rape and manslaughter. The details become ever more complex when the defence asked that the clothes worn by Nicole might be turned into them for examination. They are told that the clothes were destroyed by fire 2 months after the discovery of Nicole's remains. De Grêlé's counsel describes this act as incomprehensible. The defence continued undeterred and cited the 2 other DNA samples collected from Nicole's body. They also claimed that the court had wrongly excluded other possible suspects prematurely. It's never been publicly confirmed, but it's believed the other samples belonged to Nicole's boyfriend and Ad van den Hurk, or Andy van den Hurk. Their next move is to challenge the judges in the case. Their challenge is rejected, by the East Brabant District Court. The trial was set for November of 2015. It had been reported months earlier that Nicole was possibly stabbed. As well as this, there appears to have been a differing opinion between the Netherlands Forensics Institute and the Public Prosecution Service. The NFI are not convinced that the DNA trace is that of the accused, which seems startling. The suspect, de Grêlé, on day one of the trial, strongly denies he had anything to do with the rape and death of Nicole. On day two, the prosecution used a report which suggested that de Grêlé was likely to re-offend if he was not given adequate treatment. Day 3 saw the defence say that the DNA material used to arrest and charge de Grêlé may well have been cell material that was mixed during the initial examination of Nicole's body. It's also been reported that semen connected to as many as 3 people may well have been present. Day 4 sees Reza Goretzin called to the stand. He states that the fatal stab wound likely came from a Swiss Army knife. The case is then halted for a period of 8 days because new witnesses have contacted the police. These witnesses, 2 in all, claim that de Grêlé told them he had committed the murder. They were both in a treatment facility with de Grêlé at the time. December 4th, trial day 6. The DNA evidence is passed over to an Australian expert for assessment. The next piece of information concerning the DNA comes from New Zealand, and it brings more confusion than clarity. These experts conclude the DNA evidence used in the case does not definitely point to the suspect. However, they are 2.3 million times more likely to be his rather than anyone else's. The Defence Counsel dismisses the findings as trash and states that the DNA deposits may have been the result of consensual sex. On June 13th, the scientist looking into the DNA evidence stated that the DNA found was more likely to be de Grêlé's. This led to de Grêlé being convicted of rape, but there was not enough evidence to convict him of manslaughter. Jos was given a sentence of 5 years for the rape. The light sentence was made on the grounds that he was mentally incompetent at the time of the crime. Once the 5-year prison sentence was completed, he was to be sent to a psychiatric facility for an undetermined length of time, no less than 3 years. His defence continued to claim that the evidence was suspect, but this didn't stop the prosecution from appealing what they considered to be a light sentence. Their appeal was successful. Jos de Grêlé stated the following: "I'm going through hell at the moment, just like the next of kin, and my family too. I am innocent and cannot apologise." The court ruled that the Public Prosecution Service was correct in their judgment. De Grêlé was convicted of rape and manslaughter. His sentence was increased from 5 years to 12, with his post-prison psychiatric treatment at the mental health institution remaining the same. As we always do, I want to leave with a few words about the victim. From all accounts, she was a young lady who had endured some tumultuous years, yet always managed to crack a smile and remain positive. Unfortunately, we have a life in many ways never lived. The simple action of cycling our bike to work resulted in the most heinous crime, perpetrated once again by an opportunist out of sync with the moral laws framing our human society. Nicole lost her life under terrifying circumstances, and a family has been forever scarred in ways nobody could have predicted. Once again, thanks to everyone for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please do make sure to like, comment, share and subscribe to Mystery Scope. As always, until the next time, take care.